Did you guys? I remember as a kid, some of the only games like the sort of like online browser games for free that you could play. I remember a lot of them were these like physics-based sand games where you could just put sand down and they would react with each other. And that's basically just all you would do for hours. And I remember that just being like extremely entertaining, especially two specific kinds. One was one where people could add and edit levels, and you could put in a player character and move around and play them as like a level editor. You know, like think of it like Mario Maker, but with physics sand, right? And it was amazing. It was so much fun to just dive into that forever. And that same creator had one with a stick RPG, where it's like the same tiny little characters, but you control like 4 of them, and they like cast magic or use swords and stuff. What the heck? Well, all right. Anyway, as I was talking, is this doing anything? It looks like it's slowly doing something. So I'm just gonna talk about what I was gonna talk about. I was talking about how as a kid, there wasn't a lot of games online, right? You know, and so you just kind of had to deal with what you got. We didn't have Mario Maker, right? We didn't even have like the Wii yet. And I remember as a kid how I would just there was like this browser game. There's this browser. It was you know like a classic Flash game site. You know, I wish I could remember the name of it, but gosh, it's been so long. And Flash is dead now, so I mean I wouldn't be surprised if the site was just outright dead. I think I went back to it not too long ago and it was still alive, but I mean I couldn't tell you if I wanted. There was a million of them, right? Everyone had the ones that they used all the time, so... this is a bit loud. I might turn that down while I do this. There. So... everyone had theirs, right? And I remember, I loved this site. They had all kinds of great stuff, right? If I can try and find it, I'll remember to add it in the edit. I probably won't, but who knows, you know. Everyone had theirs. It was a classic Flash site, green boxes surrounding the Flash games, new daily games all the time. They had all the classic stuff, like Papa's Pizzerias, the kind, like they got their start in those kinds of sites, you know what I'm talking about. And so they had one that had this specific sand physics thing. And I remember just playing the absolute crud out of it all the time. I would even download versions of it on my phone and play it there for just hours and hours and hours. I would do it when we were in the car going to places or whatever, right? Like I would just play it all the time, and I loved it. Okay? But they also had, and they had a level builder, and you could build levels and submit them to people. And I used to play through those all the time, because if you put down like a little dude, and you could like play through these like Metal Gear Solid style levels of dodging monsters and stuff, right? And like the longer you did it, the more the map got destroyed. It was so much fun. Like that was so much fun. I'm apparently 80% damp. And they had a version that was exclusively with these little stick people, right? And they each had different shaped heads. And they had a stick RPG version. And I just remember that being so much fun. Because you could level up your stick guys, and that would make them more powerful, and they could shoot better attacks and use better weapons. And you go through across like this whole huge map to eventually get the upgrades. And when you could like grind levels. So like if you got really powerful, you could go back to an early level and just wipe the floor with them after you had so much trouble with them, right? Like they would have set spawns and all this stuff. I remember doing that for just so many hours as a kid. I hold that game so close to my heart, even though I can't remember the name of it or the site that I used to play it on. Listen, nobody's perfect, alright? But I remember that, and it just being so much fun. And this kind of reminds me of that, although this is clearly for a newer age, you know?